Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite subject, which is slowing down and why going slow on our healing path, on our self-love path, on our personal growth path, on our fitness journey, on whatever it is that we're doing to try to transform or improve or shift our lives, whatever we're doing, why learning to go slow is really the best way to get to where we want to go in the quickest way possible. And this is something that I talk about over and over and over again because I believe it is one of the most important things that we are ever going to understand. And I believe that when we really grasp this, like when we are able to actually get ourselves to believe this, to believe that going slow is the fastest way, and we are able to commit to the slow, steady path of transformation, that this is when we are going to see the most results. And so this is why I kind of harp on this as much as I do. Because I have been in the health, wellness, spirituality, personal growth world literally since I was 14 years old. Like, it's been 20 years. I've been here for a while. And I have seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of people, and I've observed a lot of people, and I've observed a lot of people doing the things that they do. And I've watched a lot of experts, and I've watched a lot of practitioners offer a lot of different things. And I've seen the people go through different programs and different cleanses and different this and that. And I've seen the outcomes, okay? Like, I've seen the long range, long-term effects of so many of the things that are sold as healing modalities and healing techniques. And I've seen people who have marketed themselves as experts, and I've seen people who have gone through these people's programs who in the short term proclaim to be getting all these amazing, miraculous results, who claim to be healing, who claim to be transforming their lives and ending up at a totally different place than they ever thought they could be, and all the, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months transformation posts and all this stuff. And then I've watched as people have gone, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out. And I've seen what happens when we do these kind of quick fix programs. I've seen what happens when we do the challenges and the cleanses and the fasts and the extreme things and the healing sessions and this is going to get rid of all your childhood trauma in a weekend of microdosing or whatever. And being someone who just really cares about the truth and also really cares about people's experience, I have been here kind of preaching this message over and over and over again because it is really unpopular, and it is something that I know that a lot of people just don't want to hear, and it is something that I think is hard for a lot of us to accept, because when we are trying to heal and when we are trying to grow and when we are trying to transform, we are usually coming from a place of being in pain. We are in a place where we are feeling like life does not feel good. We do not feel good in our lives. We are not satisfied. We are not happy. And we want to feel like there is something that is going to transform our experience as quickly as possible. And this makes perfect sense. Of course we want that. Yeah? So this means that anyone who's selling us the idea that something can radically transform your life in a weekend or in 30 days or in a cleanse, or if you just stick to it long enough, we are already prone to believing it. We are already prone to accepting that because it's what we want to hear. Okay, so there's that. And then we have to understand, and I'm going to get into this later. We'll get into this in a second. But with all of these quick fixes and all of these programs and all of these, you can fast track your way to healing, and you can get rid of your childhood trauma, and you can reset your nervous system, and you can cleanse your body and whatever it is. I have just seen over and over and over again people get disappointed. And more than that, I have seen over and over and over again people get to a place where they are doing these things repeatedly. and they are constantly in a state of either doing something extreme, doing something quick, doing something that is supposed to heal you overnight, feeling the high and the buzz of that, getting some short-term results, feeling like it changed their lives, not being able to stick to the protocol or stick to the thing, or coming home from the meditation retreat or coming home from the medicine ceremony and believing that your entire perspective has shifted and you're going to be a different person, and then slowly falling back into old habits and old patterns and doing what we've always done, and finding that we aren't able to sustain and maintain the results that we got. Or, right, the results just kind of stop happening after a little while. The high wears off of the new thing. We start to realize it's not healing us the way we thought it was. And then rather than being supported in finding what is going to work, rather than being supported in saying, okay, well, yeah, maybe that wasn't actually a thing, and maybe slow is the way, or maybe there's a part of this that works for you, and let's figure out what that is, and there's parts that didn't work, and there are other things that you need, and all this stuff. It's, you're just doing it wrong, you're not disciplined enough, you need to try hard enough, you need to do it longer, you need to do it again. And then people are just in these constant cycles of stimulation and doing things that, really get them going, and then they fall off, and then the results go away, and then they do it again, and they don't actually make progress. Okay? That is the real reason why I want to speak to this so much. Because it is such a shame. It is such a shame to watch so many people put in so much work and so much effort, and to be incredibly dedicated and diligent in their path, and to be putting forth literally everything they have, only to not get long-term results, to not actually get what is promised. And then rather than being, like I said, supported and seen in that, and said, okay, well, maybe the technique didn't work, or maybe the technique wasn't actually what they said it was, or maybe you need something else, or maybe it's only a part of what you need, or any of these reasonable things that might help you make progress. There's the, you just need to do it again, you just need to do it harder, you failed, you suck, it's you that's broken, you're not trying hard enough. People just get into shame and guilt that, like, I couldn't sustain it, I couldn't maintain it, there's something wrong with me, I lack discipline, I'm broken, I'm shitty, and it actually makes things worse. And people, you deserve better than that. That is my main point, is I am not trying to sit here and say, go slow, because I want you to feel pain longer. Okay? I am not the one who's saying go slow because I want you to suffer longer. I'm not saying go slow because I know that there are techniques that work quickly and I'm just not telling you about them. Or I don't think you should do them, or I have some sort of moral opposition to them and I think it's just better to suffer longer. That is not where I'm coming from. Okay? I am coming from the place of, you deserve to get real results. That is why I am saying this. You deserve to get out of your healing practices at least what you are putting in. You deserve to feel like you are being supported versus feeling like you should be measuring up to these healing practices and doing these things right. And if you're not getting results, this means that you're failing. You deserve to feel like the entire purpose of your self-help, personal goals, spirituality, healing, whatever it is on your side. And it's not a new thing for you to measure your goodness or your worthiness by, like how much you're healing or how good you're doing. And last, you deserve to never be in a situation where you have a guru or a teacher or a person who's taking more and more of your money and more of your time and their techniques are not actually working for you, and they're blaming you and telling you that it's because you're not trying hard enough and you're not doing enough and you're failing, versus being able to say, well, maybe my thing doesn't work for you, or maybe my thing isn't the whole thing, or maybe this just isn't the path, or this isn't the thing for you right now. That is why I say this. Because if there was a thing that worked fast, I would tell you. And if I come upon that in the future, and I'm like, never mind, we don't need to do all this work. There's a fast way. There's a weekend retreat we can take. There's a plant medicine. There's one thing we can do that will radically transform our lives. I will tell you. Because I want you to have that. Okay? I am not trying to be here to just say you should suffer longer because I just think that's better. The reason I say this is because I want you to get real results. And the way that I have seen it over the last 20 years, with all of my personal experience, all of my client work, working in the mystery school, watching other people do all these other things, it's that slow and steady is really the only thing I've ever seen to actually work. Okay. This is why, okay? If you ever do coaching with me, if you ever go into the mystery school, but especially with my coaching work, you are going to find that there is never any pressure, and there is never any pushing, and there is never any rushing, and that so much of our work is based on slowing down the nervous system, slowing down the mind, reducing the number of things that we're doing to heal and change and fix ourselves, and really going in with the intention of looking for the things that feel good and supportive now, and building upon those things over time. And you're going to find that this technique actually helps you make progress in ways that you were trying to force yourself to make progress before, and in a way that doesn't feel stressful, and it doesn't feel shameful. And in fact, we do a lot of work to work through that shame and that guilt. There's never any blaming of you, there's never any shaming of you, and there's never any expectation on you to perform. Because that is the poison that I think is the main thing that drives these ways of doing healing that never lead to healing. All right? And also, I believe that there are a lot of people out there who are working in the healing space who, through no fault of their own, and I would never blame them or shame them for this, are stuck in their own stuff still. They are stuck in their own trauma. They are stuck in their own lack of healing. They're stuck in their own pain. And part of how they are dealing with that, part of how they are dealing with the fact that they aren't healed and they aren't where they want to be, and that they don't feel good, and that they haven't necessarily gotten the results that they've wanted, is by selling things that other people want to hear and want to approve of and give them recognition and validation for. There are a lot of people out there who are still not in a place of being okay with themselves, of accepting where they're at, of being in a state where they're not in a constant state of striving. And so there are some people who are kind of, working from a place of projection, right? I have to heal the whole world and that's what's going to make me feel better. And they're working from this kind of panic place of, I don't feel good and it's because the world doesn't feel good and I need to be the savior and I need to bring the message and I need to bring the answer. And they're kind of working from this panic place where they're not settled in themselves and they can't even notice that, right? Because they're running on 1,000,000 miles an hour. They haven't learned to slow down. They're not checking in with themselves. because their pain and the trauma that they've been through and the things that they've been through have led them to a place where, in order to soothe themselves, they're trying to be healers. And they're trying to sell, but they're also trying to be approved of, and they're also trying to be in a position of being someone who gets people fast results and gets that immediate gratification. And they're not seeing that they're in that pattern. Or, right, they are not seeing results that they are wanting to be seeing. Or they are doing things short term. They have never committed to anything long term. They haven't given anything time to actually heal or to see if it actually works or not. And as soon as they find something that stimulates them or that seems to help them feel better for 5 minutes, they turn around and they got to sell it. And they got to make it a product. They got to make it a part of their brand. They got to make it a part of their personality. And they are not operating from a place of integrity. And again, I don't necessarily think that this is intentional. I don't think that they're laying in bed at night saying like, yeah, I want to fuck people over. Or, I don't really know what I'm talking about. They really are excited about the things that they're doing. And they really think that they're getting results this time. And again, we live in this world of consensus reality where a lot of us are running on the adrenaline of being approved of. And a lot of people, again, in their healing work, have turned it into their business. And therefore, they have to continually put out this idea that they are healed and they're transformed and they're better and they're amazing, even when they aren't. They can't have a real journey. They can't have their real feelings. They can't have their real experience because they've turned their healing journey into their message. And they did it way too quickly, way too prematurely before they had had time to see the actual long-term results. And then also, we live in this world where the attention economy is such that if you're selling the same thing over and over again, people are going to stop listening to you at some point. People are continually selling these new thing, the new thing, the new thing, the new thing, and turning it into a quick thing. And into their next book, and into their next program, and into their next, and this is going to heal everyone, and this is going to fix everything. This is the answer. Because that's how our economy works. That's how you make money. That's how you stay being relevant. You can't just keep selling the same thing over and over again. The slow and steady path is not fancy. It's not acceptable. It's not sparkly and shiny and stimulating. And again, a lot of people hear slow and steady and they just hear, well, why would I do that? Why would I do that if fast and quick is available? Yeah? So we are inundated with this stuff. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the market. People are not selling from a place of genuine, lived, long-term experience. They aren't selling from a place of being grounded in themselves. They aren't selling from a place of just genuinely wanting to help, but rather they're trying to feed a need in themselves to be seen or to be useful or to be good or to be helpful. And they're not able to preach a message that isn't popular because it's not going to be as popular. You're not going to get the same effect. You're not going to make the same amount of money. You're not going to make the same amount of, you're not going to have the same amount of followers. You're not going to get the same amount of, oh my God, you changed my life. This is amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be like that. And in order to be a healer who can be someone who is okay with that, usually you have to have gone on a pretty long journey yourself. And in our world, most people just haven't, right? Most people are just jumping from thing to thing to thing. And they just want to be famous now. And they want to make money now. And they want to get their shit out there now. And it means that we are then being convinced that there is a path to healing that is quick, that is painless, that is, I can white knuckle my way through it. And we believe that that exists because we're being sold that that exists, and people are getting short-term results, and their testimonies to be loved by the teacher make us feel like, well, then it must be working for them. So if it's not working for me, I must be failing, and it must be that I'm doing something wrong, versus being able to see that no, it's the path that's not working. Okay? So literally for the last 10 years that I've been on the internet, for the last 10 years that I've been doing this work, I've been told by other healers and gurus and all these experts that I just don't get it, that I'm just not trying hard enough, that I'm just holding on to negativity, that I'm this and that, because I've been saying, no, these quick fix things don't work. And now, like I say, 10 years on, I can very confidently say I have gotten better results with my clients and with the people that I have worked with and with myself than all of these people who have offered these short-term things. There are so many people I know now behind the scenes who have told me the actual long-term effects of these quick fix programs, and it's devastating. Okay? So this is why I'm going to continue to preach this message, that slow and steady is the thing, because it is. And I think the biggest thing that I want to get across in this video today is that, again, I am not saying this to try to prevent you from healing faster. I did not make up this rule. I am not the one who's saying you should go slow because I think that's better. What I am saying is, I think the only path that exists is the slow path. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that in reality, I don't think a quick path to healing that is actually sustainable exists. What I am saying is, there's a lot of people selling a lot of things that do not work. That work in the short term, as in that give us that stimulation in the short term, that make us feel something in the short term, but it doesn't give sustainable results. No matter how hard you work it, no matter how many times you do it, no matter how dedicated you are to it, it is not going to get the job done. That is my point. It's like we have a nail that we need to drive into a piece of wood, and people are giving us a screwdriver, and they're giving us a broom, and they're giving us cement, and there's just no reality in which a screwdriver, a broom, or cement is going to drive that nail into the piece of wood. It doesn't matter how we use it. It doesn't matter how long we use the screwdriver. It doesn't matter how we manipulate the cement. It does not matter. It is not a hammer. It's never going to be a hammer, and therefore we are never going to get the results that we want. It is my belief so far, 20 years in, that slow is the only way. When we're healing trauma, when we're healing chronic health conditions, when we're working with things that are not just simple things to solve, when we're working with long-term relationship issues, when we're working with patterns, there is no fast way. There is no fast way. And second thing, there is no one thing. There just is not a single solution or a single answer or a single thing. There's no mindset shift. There's no single technique that is going to be the answer. Rather, it's going to be phases. It's going to be steps. It's going to be working with the nervous system the body, the capacity, the understanding that you have now, and slowly building upon those things. Slowly building, slowly shifting, slowly gathering tools and putting them in your toolbox and gaining more capacity over time. Okay? And I will be the first to let you know. Okay? I was the queen of rushing. I was the queen. I am still a kind of person who is addicted to efficiency. Okay? If you were my husband, he would say to you, I try to make literally everything in our lives the most efficient possible. I am not the kind of person who would willingly choose to go slow for no reason. I am, in fact, the exact opposite of this. So the fact that I am preaching this message should say something. Okay? I am not into redundancy. The thing that makes me the most frustrated in life is doing things that do not need to be done. Inefficiency, things that are ineffective. This is the bane of my existence. Okay? I am not one of these people who naturally enjoys the journey. I'm learning to be more like that. But my nature is to look for the most efficient route, to do it as quickly as possible. I was the kind of person who in school never had to do homework because I would listen to the message, listen to the teaching, see what the homework was going to be on the board, and start doing my homework in class. Right? Like, I am that kind of person. I am the kind of person who is always going to do the most efficient thing. And so if I am telling you that the most efficient thing is to go slow, it's because it is. I have worked this and worked this and worked this and worked this. I have watched, I have witnessed, I have studied, I have worked with hundreds of people over the last 10 years. And I have never seen anything that works better than this. Okay? So please, allow yourself to just entertain the idea that if you want to make progress on your path, that if you really want to heal, change, grow, expand, it's going to take time. There is not going to be one thing that changes everything, but rather you are going to gather tools over time. You are going to gather capacity over time. That it is going to be something you build upon over time. And now, the biggest, most important thing. This is the big thing that I think will help all of us be able to be more accepting of this slow and steady path, which is this. If you are really tapping into the tools and the techniques that are truly and genuinely going to be healing for you, you should not have to wait to the end of the 30 days or the end of the retreat or to go through a period of torture before it starts to feel good in your life right now. Okay? Before it starts to make a discernible difference in how you feel right now. And I know this can be confusing, right? Because the quick fix self-help stuff, the fast techniques are really stimulating and feel really good right now in the short term. Usually because it gives us that placebo effect, right? I'm doing something. This is gonna work. There's hope. There's change. There's variation. And that makes us feel good. But what I'm saying is not that. Okay? It's not that the things that are going to heal you and the things that are really truly supportive for you are going to be stimulating. Okay? So I want you to start to notice when your healing work, your spirituality work, your personal growth work feels stimulating, right? There's that high, buzzy feeling of this is going to change my whole life. This is going to totally transform me. This is it. This is the answer. I found the thing. This is going to change everything. Or if it makes you dissociate from your body, right? If you stop feeling, you feel that high feeling, you're in your head. And if the technique makes you feel like, oh, okay, I found the thing that's wrong with me. It's my mindset. It's my broken thing. It's my bad habit. It's my coping mechanism. This is the problem. It's me. Right? There's no, where did this come from? How did this happen? How do you need to be supported? And there's no investigation into the innocence behind what you're doing, right? There's okay, we can see that you're a people pleaser, or you're, self-sabotaging, or you're doing this bad habit of zoning out in front of the TV because you have trauma or because this thing happened to you. Okay, we get that. So just stop it. Right? So just stop. You just have to stop. You need to stop doing that. And here's the technique that will just make you stop doing that. Because that's the thing that's wrong with you. And if you just stop, you'll feel better and everything will change. If it's any of that, it's not it. Right? There can be seeds of truth in those things. Like they may be able to speak directly to, like, yeah, I did experience trauma. I did experience that thing. It totally does resonate with me that I ended up here in this place using these coping mechanisms and doing these things because I have this specific history. You spoke right to me. And then you said it in a way that made me feel like if I just stopped doing my thing, and if I just put in enough discipline to stop doing my thing, I'm going to be better. It can feel really, again, exciting that we found a thing. I'm just going to do this 30-day cleanse. I'm going to do this weekend healing retreat. I'm going to do this thing. And they're promising me that it's going to change my life. I'm on this new program. It's my whole new life. If it feels like that, it is not it. I promise. Because the real thing, this is what the real thing is going to feel like. Okay, this is what I want you to look out for. If you're really finding something that's going to work for you long term, there's no just get rid of your bad habit. That will never be the focus. Because the bad habit, the coping mechanism, the thing you're doing right now, the relationship patterns you have, the way that you're codependent, the way that you numb out in front of the TV and eat junk food and whatever it is that you do to numb your pain is your current solution to the pain that you are feeling that you don't know how to process. That is not what is wrong with you. That has never been what is wrong with you. That is how you are trying to meet your needs the best you know how to meet your needs. So if any technique is telling you, I can help you just get rid of that, they don't know what they're talking about. They're dealing with a rotten apple and not looking at the root. Because the root is you are not getting your needs met in some way. You experienced not being safe for an extended period of time. And now your nervous system is set into fight or flight. You perceive threat where it doesn't exist. You're not living a life that feels good for you because you were never taught how to feel your feelings, how to figure out what was right for you, how to do what's authentic for you, because your whole world was just about pleasing other people or doing what other people wanted you to do or being good or trying to find safety in some other way. Your body is operating in a way that's painful and you don't understand it and you don't know what it needs. And so you're coping and you're numbing with the ways that you're doing things. There's a deeper issue going on. So if any technique is saying, I'm going to help you figure out what need your current bad behaviors are serving in your life, and I'm going to help you figure out how to get those needs met in healthier ways, to the point where you never have to exert discipline to stop doing those bad habits, but rather we're just going to slowly replace them over time with what it is you need, it's not going to work. If the plan is not helping you get deeper into your body, if it's not helping you to slow down and feel how things feel right now, but rather it's all about the future, it's all about pushing yourself, it's all about dissociating from your body and how things feel now, right? Like literally, these plant medicines and these meditation techniques that are so stimulating and that just rev up our nervous systems so much to the point where we're dissociating from our bodies, or where we're putting our bodies in such a heavy state of stress that we can't be connected. It's not it. Okay? Because the reason this is not it is because in order to find the things that are actually going to support our healing, we need to be able to feel. Because remember, the mind can be convinced that anything is going to heal us. The mind can be convinced that anything is the right thing. That's why so many of us have done so many of these things, being 100% sure it was going to work, and then have been surprised that it didn't work. Because the mind can be convinced. But how we feel while we're actually doing things cannot be manipulated. Something that does not feel good along the way, if it doesn't feel, and when I say feel good, this is what I mean: grounded. You're able to be in your body. You're able to be in this present moment. You're able to engage with your technique, and it actually centers you. It calms you down. It makes you more present. It makes you more capable of being with the painful emotions that are coming up right now, the painful thoughts that are coming up right now. It gives you tools of observation instead of reaction. If it's not doing that, if it's not feeling nourishing right now, right? If it feels like it's stripping you, if it feels like you're running on a treadmill and I can't keep up with this, that is not a good feeling. That is stimulation. It needs to feel grounded. It needs to feel like you can connect to right now, and there is grounded pleasure in it. Your meditation techniques should help you connect to your negative emotions in a way where you can observe them and get curious about them and learn to support yourself through them, where you can go into past memories and not get totally lost in them. They should be teaching you techniques and tools of eating and moving and living and breathing that feel sustainable, because you're not torturing yourself doing them, or you're not having to exert so much effort to keep it going. It needs to feel good right now. Okay, so if it's requiring that you dissociate, if it's requiring that you white knuckle it, and you have to put in so much effort and discipline to keep yourself doing it, because it doesn't actually feel good, it's not it. The techniques that are going to heal you are the same techniques that you're going to use to feel good for the rest of your life. That is what I want you to think of. Does this technique help me to feel good, grounded, stable, steady, where I am right now, in a way that I can see myself using this over and over and over again for the rest of my life because it feels good? Right? It shouldn't feel like torture. It should not feel like sprinting. It should not feel like you're running a marathon. It should feel nurturing. Because the healed you and the you that is healing need nurturing. You are not broken, and you do not need to be fixed. The true healing path, the transformation path, the self-growth path is about finding a way of life that is supportive of the real you and your continued growth. It's about finding tools and techniques that are nourishing and supportive. Okay? It's a whole different paradigm. The things I teach in my one-on-one sessions with people: how to connect to your body, how to get into the witness perspective, how to connect with unconditionally loving presence, how to find your own answers, how to be open, how to be curious, how to have compassion for yourself. These are life skills. These are not things that I'm like, practice this for 30 days and it will heal you, and then you never do it again. The point is, these things should be making you feel good now. They should be helping to ground you and get you out of shame and blame and guilt now. And then they are going to be tools that you use for the rest of your life, because they feel good to use and because they facilitate you figuring out what you need right now. Because this, again, is the big paradigm shift that I really hope you all get from watching all of my material. A life that feels good is not a life where you are perfect. The life that you are going for, that's going to feel good the way you want to feel, is not the life where you have perfectly transcended all of your problems. You have healed all of your codependency, you've gotten rid of your people pleasing, you're 100% confident in yourself, there's no more problems with your body, you never have a relationship issue again, your mental state is perfect, and you're transcended now. That is not the life that's going to feel good. The life that's going to feel good is the life where you have adequate tools to figure out how you're feeling, what's going on for you, and what you need to be supported in this moment. That is a life that feels good. Because it's all about showing up for the you that actually exists right now, not a future version of you that's healed. It's not about trying to become a fixed version of yourself. That's never going to feel good, because that's not who you are right now. And right, like the thing that caused the problem to begin with, the root cause of pretty much all of our pain is going to be there was a problem in the present. Something was happening that was painful, that was out of alignment, that was harmful, that was not addressed. Our needs didn't get met. That's what trauma is. The us that existed was harmed in some way by not being understood, by not getting their needs met, by being antagonized in some way. So if that was the problem, there's no way that the solution to that problem is trying to fix you for how you're responding to not having gotten your needs met. There's no way that the solution to that problem is treating you like you are something that you aren't right now. The solution to the problem is, what do I need right now? Where am I at right now? What am I feeling right now? And what is most supportive for the me that exists right now, that has my coping mechanisms, that has my negative emotions, that feels overwhelmed, that feels that shame, blame, and guilt? What do I need to feel supported? That is the healing journey. And what I am saying is, the more you start to live like that, the better life is going to feel now. And then in 10 minutes, and then tomorrow, and then in 2 months. Because again, the more you start to show up for the you that actually exists, and the more your focus is, how do I just meet the needs that I have right now? Right? Like, we can think of this like a child. We don't have to force the child to grow and to become bigger and stronger and more mature. We just have to keep meeting the needs of the child based on the needs of the child, and the child will grow. When a child stops growing, it's not because we didn't do enough for the future them. It's because in this moment, they are not getting what they need. In this moment, they are not getting what they need, and therefore they can't keep growing. If we keep nourishing a child with food, and then when they learn something new, we keep nourishing that, we keep supporting that so they can build upon it. They learn to crawl, and then we teach them to walk, and then we teach them to run, and then we teach them to dance. We just keep building based on the level that they're at. So this is why I'm saying, right, the healing path is not about trying to force yourself to be at dancing when you're at crawling. There's no way to quick fix that. We can't say, okay, the child is crawling, great. Skip walking, skip running. Just get them up and dance. Just put on some music. Force them into that dancing position, and they will get there faster. No, they won't. The more we try to act like the child should be somewhere that they aren't, the more we actually stunt their growth. When we don't give them a chance to walk, when we don't give them a chance to run, they will never learn how to dance. Because they're at crawling right now. And the next step is walking. So for a lot of us, we need to let go of, I'm trying to force myself to be over there. I have this ideal in my head of what I'm supposed to be, and that is what is going to feel good. And I need to just force myself into that. And we need to say, no, where am I right now? Because the more I nurture myself in this place where what I am capable of is crawling, the more I am naturally going to find walking next, my next steps. Okay, so this is the other thing. When we are willing to take this path for how it actually is, we show up for the us that actually exists. We make space for the us that actually exists. We do the things that we are actually capable of in the place we're in. And we just do that over and over and over again. We are going to find eventually our capacity increases. Our awareness increases. Our understanding increases. And then our next step becomes available to us. It's not dancing yet, but it's walking. And then if we are willing to do the walking, we are willing to nurture us who walks. We are willing to do the walking phase. We commit to just being the best we can for ourselves while we're walking. We are going to get stronger and stronger and more steady until eventually running becomes available. And then we will run. And then all of a sudden we're dancing. And it wasn't because we forced ourselves to dance. We got to a place where we were ready. Because we did crawling, then we did walking, then we did running, and we were just willing to be available for the us that actually existed. Right? Most of us are not making progress because we are refusing to accept where we're at. And we are refusing to nurture the us that actually exists. We are refusing to love the version of ourselves that exists right now. That is what all these self-help, quick fix, fast healing techniques are actually based on. They are based around the idea that who you are right now and what you are right now is not okay. And that lack of love, validation, and support for the you that actually exists is, generally speaking, what caused the trauma in the first place. You were not given what you needed. And that is what caused the problem. That is what you are now trying to heal from. Because if you had been given what you wanted, if you had been given what you needed, you would have naturally kept growing and developing and expressing and figuring out the things that worked for you and figuring out the things that didn't work for you. And you would have been able to stay connected to your body and stay connected to your emotions. And you wouldn't have had to reject yourself and shame yourself and blame yourself and all of the problems that came that are now why you are where you are. If you had been supported, none of this would be happening, or it would be happening to a much less degree. So there is no world in which trying to force yourself to be something that you aren't, not showing up for the you that actually exists, not meeting the needs you have right here, right now, is the solution when that was the problem. And that, my friends, is why going slow is the only way. Because we grow at the pace we grow at. We don't get to determine that. Reality determines that. We don't get to decide how long it's going to take for us to recover from not having our needs met. We don't get to decide that. That's reality. Right? When we break a bone, we don't get to decide how long it takes it to heal. That's a reality thing. The thing we have control over is getting the needs met that we have when we have a broken bone. Is showing up for the us that has the broken bone and resting and eating nourishing food and taking medication if we need to and having a cast. But there's no, I'm just going to get up and walk and run and act like my leg is healed because that'll get me there faster. No, it won't. It will make it so that you never heal. You see? The reason these chronic issues exist, generally speaking, is because our needs weren't met. And then we've been going a long time not having our needs met. And we've been coping and numbing and self-sabotaging and working with a reality where our needs have not been met and where we have not been able to be in our bodies and we've not been able to access our feelings and we haven't been able to grow and express and be our true selves. That's the problem. So there's no world in which any healing technique that continues to do those things is going to be the thing that heals you. The slow path of where am I right now? What do I need right now to feel supported? Not stimulated, not driven, not high. What are the tools that support me and the capacity I have right here, right now? And then watching as that builds and increases over time. Watching as that increases how you feel good over time. Watching how you don't have to get anywhere specific before you start feeling better. Because you're finally getting your needs met. And that was the thing that was missing. But in order to get your needs met, you have to slow down enough to actually feel what you need, to feel your emotions, to take it one step at a time, to go slow, to not force yourself to do things that don't feel good or that are just stimulating or that lead to blame and shame and guilt. And then it takes as long as it takes. We don't get to decide that. And I understand that that's frustrating and no one wants to hear that. We want to believe that if we just do it harder and do it more and do it faster, we can force our nervous systems into healing. But this just isn't reality. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. And we need to be open to that. We need to be compassionate for ourselves. And we need to just say, if I just keep showing up for the me that actually exists right now, and I focus on how I'm feeling, and I learn to come back into my body, and I learn these simple techniques of observation and getting my needs met slowly over time, I'm gonna feel better. I'm gonna build capacity, right? It's like going to the gym and you lift 5 pounds, and then all of a sudden you can lift 10, and then all of a sudden you can lift 20. And it's not by getting there and just forcing yourself to lift 100 pounds. Be where you are. And your capacity will build naturally as you get the needs met of the you that exists. That is why the slow path is the only path. Everything else is ignoring who you are and where you are and what you are. And that was the problem to begin with. Okay? Okay. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. The you that exists right here, right now, holds all the keys to your healing. It's just about showing up for the you that exists with everything that's here and learning to say, what do I need to be supported right now? What do I feel in my body? Can I feel my body? What's my next step? Is it crawling? I know I want it to be dancing, but is it crawling? And can we let that be okay? Until eventually we naturally get to a place where we're ready to walk. That's how this is going to be. Okay? Okay. So, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was grounding. I hope that was clarifying as to why these fast things don't work. Because they don't show up for the you that actually exists. And that's the whole problem. All right? Okay. So have a great week, day, month, year, whenever I see you. And I'll see you again later.